Welcome back to the Road to Waifu, everyone, where we sometimes talk about waifus, but not today.
We are talking about flying pigs because this movie is When Pigs Fly.
Can
Or
we
pig.
can we talk about really quickly about how the name of the movie is The Crimson Pig, and that doesn't really get enough playtime?
Isn't it just a Red Baron reference?
Well, I thought it was a reference to his plane, but I
Hmm.
guess, yeah.
Well, yeah, because the plane's red, so it's a full on like Red Baron like reference.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I had never thought about it. I thought it was a
You
little
love this
simpler.
movie. Why have you never thought about that? That's literally the first thing you think.
I I don't know. I don't know. So if we're talking about Porco Rosso today, basically, and I
The
have
Crimson Pig. The Crimson Pig.
I honestly I
Okay.
think he should have a cape, but it's beside the point. I have some questions that I would like to ask you, Eric, because yes, this is one of my favorite movies. As we've talked before, all of the Ghibli movies are top tier. I particularly like this one because, like Kiki's, this one's a little bit of a love note to artists, aviators, artist aviators, like Miyazaki. So I just want to kick us off with: do you have any favorite scenes? Anything that tickled your fancy?
Um, there are a couple of very solid scenes and concepts from the movie, such as the garage scenes with the entire Italian family. It's like, oh, hey, it's all the women in the family
Building
working
the plane.
building the plane. There actually is a reason for that, which I'll get into later. But
Get into it now,
that
man. There's no,
oh yeah, fair
there
enough. There's
is
no
no.
right. I don't give a shit about timing and stuff. So in terms of production, because at the time Studio Ghibli needed to essentially release films nonstop to become a viable company,
Right. Yeah.
Miyazaki had to just keep pushing it out, just keep making movies, and at the time a lot of the animation staff was working on Takahata's film only yesterday, and they were getting delays
Great
after
film, by the
delays.
way.
Mhm. So he Miyazaki started prepping for Porco Rosso alone, and he considered hiring new staff too, but he was worried about the actual quality of the film.
Mm.
So instead, he had women lead animation on this film, which was groundbreaking at the time because that just didn't happen in Japanese animation.
Didn't happen anywhere, to be frank.
That's also fair. Um, so a part of having all the women work on the plane could also be inspired by the real life. Hey, well, we only have women working on this animation.
I also that scene or that collection of scenes, like that part of the movie, I think is also really great. I think unintentionally as social commentary because how it's handled is so tactful because it's got that sprinkle of comedy.
男が一人もいねえな。ああ、みんな親父の一族なんだろ。そうだよ。
But it's still like feminist in a way because you
Mhm.
have Piccolo who's like, don't be such a pig. It's fine. It will be fine.
Oh yeah, and it
So,
was fine.
and it was more than fine. So I'm sure, art pulls from life. So I'm not surprised by that story. That it's crazy though that so in that analogy though, is Miyazaki Porco or is Miyazaki Piccolo?
I think technically he's Piccolo.
So who would be now? So I'm curious though, who would be the Porco in that scenario? That's now
In
now
gen-
I'm just curious.
in general, it would be the Meninists.
Just like just all of the amalgamation of
Oh,
everyone
men.
of
Yes,
men.
Meninists.
Interesting. So that's your favorite scene is them building the plane?
Probably that and the scene where he sees all the other fighter pilots that have died in the air.
I have some questions about that particular scene because
Right.
I freaking love this movie, but that scene in particular is a standout one, and I'm just curious, what do you think is the metaphor there? Or do you think it's literal?
I think it's literal.
You think it's literal. So you think he
Hmm.
literally glimpsed the afterlife.
Yeah, like you know that thing where, hey, when people are on the verge of death or they're brought back at the last second,
Yeah.
and there's that illusion of, hey, I see a bright light or I see my loved ones in the distance. I think that was him just on the brink, and that it
Hallucination.
wasn't his time, so he came back.
So do you think it's an okay, let me ask you this then. And this gets I feel like this bridges a little bit too much into reality, but do you think it was a hallucination or do you think he literally saw that?
I think he literally saw that.
Okay, okay, I can get on board with it. So why do you think he survives then? Because the end of the story is he comes to and he's skimming above the water. So nobody brings him back. He just like sort of snaps out of it.
Right. I mean, in truth, in the storytelling sense, his story wasn't over, and we still needed
Well,
to have him
sure.
finish the movie.
Sure. Yes.
In an actual character and literary sense, he wasn't quite done with what he needed to do.
So let me ask you this then. Do you think that's when he turned into a pig?
No, because he was already a pig when he.
No, he
Why?
wasn't.
Wait, no. He went
When
into that
that story
illusion when he was
happens,
already a pig. What are you
we
talking
see him
about?
as a human in that scene.
Oh wait, he was human when he was in that illusion.
Yeah, we
Probably.
see him as a human in that story.
Yeah. So he's. That's probably when he became a pig by some magical means. Deal with the devil to keep living.
I think it happens a
Standard.
little bit later, actually. I don't think
I
we
don't
see
know.
when he becomes a pig.
We don't, but in terms of storytelling device, it would make sense that, hey, all of his friends are dead. He's the only survivor. He is a pig.
But that's actually why I think it happens later because I think that he's built up throughout the whole movie to have this really strong personality, this very strong moral compass. And after that instance, I don't think he immediately falls down the rabbit hole of life sucks, everything sucks, why did I survive? I think it probably takes a little bit before because I think he probably takes a character turn, which is why you see later on um or not later on. This is happening sort of all at the same time because this story is a flashback that he's telling Theo. But we know that originally he was going to go fight Curtis because of his contract with the Italian government. But then we find out when he's refueling his plane that they're actually changing and they're teaming up with the seaplane pirates. So he doesn't have a reason to fight Curtis anymore. And the only reason he fights Curtis is for Theo's sake. So you actually kind of see that his character has changed. So I don't think it happens immediately after that story. I think it happens somewhat down the line.
Okay.
No thoughts?
I, I'm no. I mean, if you want to think that, that's fine.
Sure. Okay. Well, so then let me
Hmm.
ask you this. Why a pig? Why do you think a pig? I have thoughts on this.
That's because it's based off of Miyazaki's early work. So he
Oh, I didn't know this.
created an illustrated essay called Tahodo no Daban, The Age of Gun Turrets.
Okay.
The story of that is very different. A former military officer, a pig, leaves his command, builds a tank, and sets out in search of fun and glory. He kidnaps a young woman with whom he falls in love and tries in vain to seduce her. So that's why he's a pig, because it's based off of that original work.
Interesting. And in that work, the character is a pig because he's literally a pig,
A pig, yes.
like both in character and in presentation.
Both physically and uh, metaphorically, he is a pig.
Interesting. Um, I think that he's a pig in this because I mean, we know that he's cursed because that's what Gina says. So I think that it's some kind of trying to get Porco back on the right path. So,
So question, because we see him as a person at some point, and this is the perspective of him, is he necessarily cursed to look like a pig, or is this how he views himself?
Well, I'm so glad you asked this question. I think that you can go either way on it. My personal opinion is that this is how he views himself and therefore presents to the world in this way.
I
And
agree.
I think my personal opinion is at the end of the movie, he does turn back into a human because that last moment when Theo kisses him, which Theo is
Weird.
17, guys.
Weird. Weird.
Let's.
Weird. He's on the list. He's on the list.
Wait, whose list? Whose list? Because John Lasseter.
No, 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 no. From what I understand, he unfairly abused adult women, not children.
Well, hey,
I do want to
this
make
this
that.
show is not to defend John Lasseter.
Running bit aside, as far as I'm aware, he only hit on adult women, and that's
As
terrible
far as you're aware,
as an abuse of power. But let's not necessarily call him a pedo, unless he is a pedo, in which case he is a total pedo.
Let's backtrack. So I think that in that last moment when Theo kisses him, he has a realization, a revelation, and I think he does at the end of the movie turn back into a human, even though we don't see it.
That's why I think after seeing all the dead fighter pilots, he at that point, because he's still alive, whereas everyone else he knows is dead, that's when he starts seeing himself as a pig. Rolling back to my previous thought.
I do, I I can see that. The reason that I think it's a little bit later is because throughout the film we know that the Italian government is after him and it's because he deserted. And I wonder if my personal wonder, because we'll never know the answer, but this is why I love this movie, is does he see himself as a pig because he deserted? Like, is that the reason? Like he was patriotic, he served his country, all of his friends died and then he essentially decides to turn his back on the country that he loves. So my personal quandary is does he turn into a pig because all of his friends died? And that's traumatic. I'm not trying to downplay that. Or is it because he made a conscious decision to turn his back on his country that him and all of his friends loved? Like I think it could go either way.
Either or.
I would like to ask you this, and this is a little bit of a pivot. What do you think is the meaning behind the attachment to his plane?
I don't think there is a deeper meaning here. Fighter pilots tend to really like their planes, and Miyazaki really likes planes. So, like, one of the, in terms of like planning and like setting this movie up, it all boils down to Miyazaki really likes planes.
I think that that's a component because as a creator, as a filmmaker, as an artist, there are things that I do because I'm like, I just like it. Like, this is what I like, and I'm going to do it this way. And I'm not taking that off of the table because there are so many stories that I hear about people dissecting something and they're like, why is it yellow? And then you talk to the author and the
I
author's
mean,
like,
so
because it
like
was yellow.
think of the way people treat their boats. It's like it's very similarly coded.
Yeah.
Where it's my boat. It is my car. Only I can drive it. It only responds the best to me.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Miyazaki really likes planes, and he wanted to quote make a manga movie for middle-aged men who were tired and whose brain cells became tofu.
I agree. I think that there
Fuck, am I
is
middle-aged?
Oh, Eric, don't pull at that thread. You're not gonna like the answer.
Fuck you.
I'm gonna give it deeper meaning just because I want to. I think that the plane is two sides of the same coin, which is I think it represents both who he used to be and who he strives to be. And I think that if he were to let go of the plane, it would be an admission that he is who he has become. So he can't. And that's what I think is the deal with his plane, which is why he puts in the extraordinary effort to get an unfixable plane fixed.
So, I mean, okay, going with that argument, have you heard of the story of the ship of Theseus?
The ship of Theseus from the epic?
Yes.
I know vaguely.
So the ship of Theseus is a concept where you have a ship and you replace and it gets damaged. So you replace. I guess it's easier to say, like, let's say you have a shovel. You use that shovel, you love that shovel, but the handle wears out, so you replace the handle,
Right.
and then the head
Right,
wears
so you
out, so you replace
replace
the head.
it, and then you replace the shaft, and then it's like, is it even the original thing anymore?
Yeah. So with your theory on how it's a representation of his previous self, is it really truly the same plane?
I would actually argue no, but my feeling is that it's more about how Porco sees the plane and not about legitimately whether or not it's the plane that he believes it to be. Because he's holding on to this thing that he has to hold on to or he'll lose himself.
But you also said that, oh, by the end of it, he's a different person. So does that plane not now represent the new person he is?
I think it does, in a way. I think it
Just trying to get
does.
you to. I'm just trying to get you there.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean because throughout the whole thing, it's about how Porco views his plane, and the actual like material value of the plane is somewhat irrelevant because it's the reason he's kept the plane is because it's sentimental. It's an attachment. It's a aspirational thing that he has ownership of. And the reason he can't let it go when it gets absolutely demolished by Curtis is because if he lets it go, it would be an admission to himself. And I think the rebirth of his plane does mirror the rebirth that he has at the end of the film, if you believe that he turns back into a human.
Right.
Because we don't have any actual confirmation of that. We also don't have confirmation about what happens with Gina's bet, and this torments me to this day.
Which
Here's
one's Gina's
returning.
bet again?
He doesn't even know. This is like a central plot point. There's a whole scene about it.
Dude, it's been like 2 weeks since I watched the movie.
Okay, so Gina Curtis basically trespasses into Gina's garden, and
Right.
Gina tells him about this bet that she has where if a certain seaplane pilot were to visit her in
Oh,
her garden, they
that
would
one.
fall in
Okay,
love.
cool.
And
Well,
and then
then a part of it,
Theo has the
a,
narration at
pa-
the end
a,
about
a part of it was because Miyazaki wanted to do a sequel, but that just never took off.
really? Wait, tell me
Mhm.
more about that. I didn't know that.
There's not a lot on it. He mentioned that he wanted to do a continuation of the story, but then that just never took off. Essentially,
Were
just
there like pitch meetings or some sort of blueprint for what that was going to look like? Or actually,
he,
you know what? Don't tell
as
me.
far as I'm aware, he just mentioned it in some interview, and then nothing else has come out about it.
I'm kind of glad it didn't get a sequel because it's kind of the thing is sometimes I think
A lot of movies can just be one-offs.
they can be, and I think we get overzealous with the
Hmm.
sequels. I think sometimes it's warranted. I don't want to say never do a sequel, but Porco Rosso is such a beautiful film. I I think that making a sequel would not be a good move.
No, a lot of
So
movies can just be left by themselves, and I'm okay with that. Not everything needs a franchise.
I agree. And I mean, like, this is sort of franchised in a way because Ghibli has become its own sort of franchise of movies. There's a lot of
I
people who
mean,
theorize about
but
all the films being in the same universe.
yes, but we never have any confirmation of it, so therefore it's fine.
I mean, there's no
You can think
confirmation of the Pixar theory either.
right, so you can just think it, and it doesn't really matter. Like if you have Finding Nemo, you're not when you watch a scene for Finding Nemo, you don't see an Incredibles battle in the background.
Yeah. I think we should.
That is probably where we should have put the Lasseter joke instead of where we went ended up.
Oh well. I hope that he did end up with Gina. That is my genuine, I guess, hope or
I
want
mean,
or wish.
it makes more sense than Theo, so
Well, Theo had her whole life ahead of her, and yeah, so
and she's
uh
17. Most importantly, she's 17.
I didn't
Sir,
you know what I didn't
sir,
You know what I didn't actually realize until my most recent rewatch of the film, and this is genuinely why I kind of want Porco or Marco to end up with Gina. Porco's first plane in the flashback that we see during the garden scene, his first plane is named Adriano, and Gina's hotel is the Hotel Adriano,
Hmm.
and I think that she named it that because of Marco. So
I'm fine with that,
I
and I'm
really,
cool with that.
I really
I'm
want.
not cool with Theo because she's 17.
That's Eric's sticking point. Not that it's not mine. Wait, hold on.
Hold up, hold up. Are you on the list, motherfucker? Are you on the list?
No, 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 no. Wait.
The only other thing that I have to say is I loved all of the Casablanca inspired references and nods. I don't know that Miyazaki is actually inspired by Casablanca, but the parallels are undeniable.
Mhm. Classic movie.
Classic. Both are at this point. All of Miyazaki's works are considered classics, I think, with the few exception of his most recent works. But even The Wind Rises, which I think was 2018, I think is considered a classic. So
Hmm.
I don't know what it takes to become a classic, but I agree.
Just
All-
time, and when people revisit it, they still think it's a good movie.
they're all such good movies. But I guess the last thing that I would ask is Porco is such a complex character. One of the things that I wonder is,
Because he's an adult, unlike every other character in from this studio.
uh, that's a strong statement. There are adults in in Ghibli films.
Not as main characters.
Well, The Wind Rises has
Oh yeah.
an adult main character. Howl's are adult main characters. I don't know what you're talking about.
Not middle-aged old men characters. Hal
I
is
think you're
not
moving the
middle-aged.
goal.
Well,
I
he
think you're
might
moving
be.
the goalpost.
Maybe.
Uh,
Anyway, you were saying?
I mean like, and this is more of like an artistic exploration of the film, which if you're not into, we can pivot. But I always wondered if Sophia gives Porco a very specific reason to fight Curtis, and we do see him like outwardly say that after hearing about the trade deal or whatever deal it is that the sea pirates are making with the Italian government, he fully intends to just shrug it off and never fight Curtis. But I do wonder that even if Theo didn't give him that reason to fight Curtis, would he have?
Maybe not as soon, but inevitably.
You think inevitably? Because I think so
Yes.
too. I think that it would have eaten at him, and eventually he would have, even if he had to fly to America to do it, he would have done it.
Yeah. I think he has that certain pride of being a pilot where it would have eventually happened.
So that brings me to another question, which is if he does do it, why does he do it? Is it just for honor and reputation, or is it some sort of revenge thing to
Yeah, I
assert
think it's
his.
just honor and reputation at the end of the day. He he seemed this movie has shown that seaplane pilots are very prideful. It's how they sort of get the pirates to work on with them and be on their side towards the middle end of the movie.
I mean, it is how Theo basically convinces them not to kill Porco
Uh,
on the spot.
yeah, so like theoretically, you would at some point just get that catalyst of hey, I have my pride as a seaplane pilot.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it's this is one of those things where it's just such a well written movie because even though Porco has all of these internal conflicts and as we talked earlier, I think he's a pig because he sees himself as a pig. He still has that he can't stop himself from, I guess, being a good person, quote unquote. Like it's just it's
Mhm.
in his DNA, it's in his blood. Um, so I agree with that. I also think that, and we've talked in previous episodes about Joe Hisaishi, but the score on this film just perfectly uh, supports the emotional tenor of the movie. Every time it comes in, it just perfectly represents the emotion of the moment. I can't I don't think there's a better like done movie score. And I know that that's a statement to make, but genuinely, every time you get those music swells, it's it's on point. There's not a single moment where I'm like, this is out of place, or this was too much, or this doesn't
I
make
think you can say
sense.
that. I think you can say that about every Ghibli film.
This one in particular, though, I just think it's so smooth and nothing felt feels forced. I think the dialogue lends itself into bringing you into those transitions, and then the music cuts under and sort of lifts it up. It's it's freaking beautiful. I can't think of a better movie score in terms of how it supports the movie, not in terms of like how iconic it is, but in how it supports the emotional beats of the movie. It's so well designed and orchestrated. I can't think of anything else to throw at you. I think
True,
that
however,
all events should be run by seaplane pirates,
yes, but
all of
let's
them.
also uninclude having child brides as one of the prizes.
You know what? I wasn't even thinking about that, but I agree. I was more on the side of, dude, how quickly they got the word out, because this was less than 12 hours between when the
Yeah,
challenge was issued and the event took place, and so many people showed
a
up.
lot of people showed up.
And I don't know, I just like how they MC, how they get the the crowd to be quiet. It's very
Hmm.
effective.
It's very effective and it's great.
So I just think that all
But
events,
also, admittedly, they are scary pirates, so they will kill you if you
they
piss them
will, they
off.
don't care.
So
they
there is that sort of like, hey, if the angry pirate leader tells you to shut up, maybe you shut up a
maybe
little
you
bit.
shut up. Yeah. I think that we would have much better events if they were all run by seaplane pirates.
Yes, just make some major changes on the prize pool.
Well, I mean, I don't think they're setting the prizes, but
That's true. Uh, the who's it? Oh, the Ronald Reagan uh impersonator did.
the Ronald Reagan and oh, are you talking about Curtis? I was
Yeah,
like, what are you talking about?
because he goes on to become a movie star, and then he's also aiming for presidency. So that screams Ronald Reagan to me.
I think that a lot of people make that connection. I think that that's absolutely fair. I also think that you could make the argument that his character design is even reminiscent of what Ronald Reagan looked like.
Yeah,
I am in the boat of people that don't think it's quite a one to one, but
it's not, but it's very Ronald Reagan coded.
sure, sure. I would agree with that. But I also something that and we appreciate this about all Miyazaki's works, something that I really like is the attention to detail. Because even in that scene that we were talking about before with Plane Heaven, all of those planes, if you look them up, they're spot on. Those are all
Yeah,
World War One planes. They're all pretty anatomically accurate, if that's the phrase. um,
I
they're
don't think that's quite correct.
well, what would you? How would you say it?
True to design, perhaps,
Sure.
because anatomically correct is usually used for genitalia.
Anatomical is used in reference to a physical
Oh, right,
form,
human body.
but well, you can use anatomical with animals. So
That's that. All right. No, it's 7 a.m.
But the attention to
My
detail is
brain hasn't turned
beautiful.
on.
Here's a question for you. Do you believe that
Yes.
when he launches his plane in the back canal, that he does that 90-degree turn with a simple rope?
Uh, no.
I that is by
That
the
that
way,
that 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 is a little bit of movie magic, I think.
that is by the way though my favorite scene of the film when he launches from the back canal and he has issues getting it up in the air. Best scene of the film. Even better
So
than the end fight.
yeah, I think the pacing of the canal launch is better than the finale of the actual movie. There, there
Really? What
there's
did
there's a lot more tension, in my opinion.
Oh, sure. I think that that's ooh, now that you pointed out, I think that that's a fair point. But I think my counter would be cuz we're told, and you can have issues with this narratively speaking, but we're told in a very exposition-y kind of way why that is because Porco refuses to shoot a pilot. He'll only shoot the
Hmm.
plane. So
Right.
I think that that's sort of justified in that way. Could you have made it more exciting? Yes, but I actually don't think that the whole point of the end scene is that fight. I think it's what the fight is about.
Right. It is. But that's why I think the canal scene is a better action scene because there's so much more tension about things.
Sure, sure. And I also think that this particular work is I think Miyazaki's best as far as riding the line between action and comedy.
Fair.
Because I
Can't think of
mean,
another one where it would be a little. I can't think of one that is better than this one.
because in this one, the pacing I think is really solid for both. And obviously, when you're riding the line of two different genres, you're never going to have a perfect action or perfect comedy pace. But I think that it balances the two very, very well. And I mean, like, just think of all of the iconic comedy lines. Chicken, pig, what's the difference? It's
It's
just
all the
like,
same.
it's so good.
They're all delicious.
It's yeah, I really this film I'm unabashedly 10 out of 10 would recommend. If you haven't seen it already, how for starters. But go see it. Go
I
see it
mean, in
again if you've
fairness,
seen
it's
it.
not one of the more. It's not the. It's not as well known as the other ones. Like, it's not exactly a not famous movie,
That's
but it's
true.
not Spirited Away or Howl's Moving Castle or Princess Mononoke.
That's true, which I think is such a shame because between the backdrop of the film, which we didn't even talk about. So the backdrop of the film is the Great War or World War One as we know it now. And it's like it's literally just the backdrop. There's no other thing about it that's really this is during X period of time. And I think that that's one of the reasons why the film is not as well known because I think that people hear that it's set during wartime and make assumptions about the movie in that regard, but it's literally just the backdrop. It almost has
Mhm.
nothing to do with the fact that there is a war going on. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Um, Eric has less thoughts, but those
In
are Eric's
general,
thoughts.
yes, I do have less thoughts.
If you have thoughts, feel free to share them in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe on this installment of Ghibli Fest. But that's all we got for you guys. Tune in next time when we do. Uh, why am I blanking on the next one? What's the next one, Eric?
Wind Rises?
No, that was like not till way later.
Oh wait, no.
What are you talking about? Um, shoot. Whisper of the Heart.
Oh, that's one.
A love
I
letter
knew
to
I knew
love
there was a
letter
W.
writers.
There was a W in it.
Whisper of the Heart, a love letter to love letter writers is how I would classify Whisper of the Heart. But tune in. That's the one that we will be doing next. We will be doing come next
Skibidi
time.
bop, skibidi, skibidi, skibidi bop.